Well, now we welcome in John Van Doorn. And Dr. Van Doorn, thank you for being with us. Welcome in. You're a doctor of political science, right?
Yes, ma'am, and it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, good to have you. So you say that you have more than 25 years of global travel experience as a political science professor, and you say you're ready to bring the world's best ideas home. Let's get started right there. How would you do that, and tell us what makes you the best candidate for the District 9 seat?
Well, thank you for that wonderful question. Yes, I've been so fortunate to be able to travel to Europe, to the Middle East, to Latin America extensively, but not just travel as an occasional tourist, but really as someone who's studying those cultures, those political systems very deeply. So I've studied academically, and I've seen what works and what doesn't work on the ground. And I'll just give you a small example. In most cities that I've been to, or at least the ones that I think are better models, they tend to have vibrant community centers, they have public squares, they have green grocers. Several of them have what's called a 15-minute rule. And that means that you have to be able to walk, not drive, to 15 minutes to the nearest green grocer or quality restaurant to get the kind of nourishing food that's so vital to our overall health and well-being. I'd like to bring that as just one of many ideas to Columbus. And it's something we could do. We could require developers to build these stalls, a public square, places that people want to meet and actually put down their phone and converse. Because it's those relationships that really bring our lifelong happiness, prosperity, and well-being, as I could back up with the social science research, but we don't have time. Now, as far as what the best candidate for this position, I believe it's that combination of academic knowledge, in addition to the 30 or so teaching years I also have 20 years of actually working in the trenches of politics. I know all the local political actors, local, state, and federal. And that's what it's going to take, is some people will say, bring home the bacon, but I like to think of it in a more enlightened way, as connecting people through relationships with the best possible opportunities. And I can go on much more about my vision, but I do believe that I have just a unique, I like to say I have vision, competence, and integrity, all three together, that makes me the best choice for District 9.
All right. And when you talk about that, what do you see then as the top three priorities or issues for Columbus, and how would you address them?
Well, number one is long-term jobs that are sustainable and affordability. And, I'm out meeting literally now thousands of people as I campaign for this position, and that's the number one issue. I can't afford my utilities, my groceries, my car payment, or I need to have a job, or I have a relative who needs a job. So again, by bringing home jobs, and I have an idea for what I call enterprise funds, where we help those small and struggling businesses. That's what's the most difficult step, is getting established and getting over that first few months where it's very difficult. So I know how to set up enterprise funds that could be super helpful to small businesses all over the city. The number two issue right now is what I would call transparency, ethical, and responsive leadership. There's a real breakdown in trust between folks in the community and between the community and city council. And I'd also note that between city council and some public employees or public servants. So in all three ways, that trust needs to be restored. And I believe that I can bring a great set of diplomatic skills. I've also worked for 2 ambassadors, learned a lot about diplomacy, conflict resolution there. Number three is policing and public safety. And I also have a plan for holistic public safety, more community officers, mental health officers, treating everything all together and not just as a pure law enforcement problem.
We don't have a whole lot of time. We want to make sure we get to all the questions. Another issue that is really big in the news right now are these data centers. Now, there's one proposed, a big one for Columbus. What's your position on that?
Well, my position is always to follow the public voice. That's my North Star. And as a political science professor, I'd like us to see an actual public opinion poll scientifically taken so that we know what the majority of Columbuscites really want on this issue. Now, what my research tells me that there are a lot of costs and maybe not as many benefits at this point. If we are going to go forward on it, we really need to have ironclad guarantees about water usage, electricity usage, noise abatements, and so forth. And we really need to have concessions, right? We don't need to give away this many resources and not have them pledged, because I also have real strong concerns about tax abatement, that there's a Georgia law that prevents these data centers from really paying hardly any tax revenue. So the promised tax revenues that we hear about, that hasn't actually been the case in practice. So a lot of caution, not saying no. If the people want it, I'm for it, but I think we need to really get it a lot of specificity, a lot more research. Frankly, I'd like to have a short-term moratorium if that's possible.
Final word, John, your final pitch to the voters as to why they should vote for you.
Well, they should vote because I can help restore trust in government, and that's the number one problem we've got right now. I can help I build bridges and break down silos. I have a bridge building idea that I'd like to have community wide. I bring integrity. My word is my bond. If I say I'm going to do something, whether it's written or unwritten, you can guarantee that I'll do that. And I have the confidence and the skills to take public opinion, translate it into effective public policy.